Hello and welcome back to the channel. My name is Fancio17 and I'll be your YouTuber today. Today we're going to be taking a look at the history of the T-57 heavy tank and the T-69 and all of its variants. So this is actually, there was a lot more information than I did have replays, and I did not want to make a 30-minute long video to discuss all the variants and all the history of this tank. So just a heads up, this is going to be a little shorter on the history side. So the T-69 was actually built. That was a prototype tank. It essentially started off as what was known as the T-42, which was a tank made directly in part after the Bulldog. Some crazy ideas came from America during the time. They wanted to replace the Patton. They wanted to replace the Pershing. They wanted to replace their heavy tanks. And they came along this idea of, well, oscillating tank turrets seem to work. Auto-loading mechanisms seem to work. So they wanted to start putting all of these tanks in service utilizing these kinds of crazy oscillating mechanisms. Basically, the oscillating turret, if you haven't picked up on it, is the bustle and all that. It's better for you to look it up than me to actually explain it for you. So the T-69 was a project made directly after the M42 and the T-71. The T-71, which we all know is the Tier 7 in the American lineup for the T-57 line. It was an outstretched idea, 76mm auto-loading tank, very small. It was actually developed to be a tank you could drop out of the back of a plane and parachute in. It was that light, and that was its original idea. So the T-69 came along. They wanted to put a 90mm gun on an auto-loading tank surface and just create a fantastic tank. A prototype was built for this tank, although it never saw service, which is unfortunate. I think despite most of these prototypes' mechanical drawbacks, it would have been kind of cool to see in real life utilized. And unfortunately, auto-loading tanks will never, in my opinion, be as great as hand-loaded. If you ever look at modern tanks like the Abrams, you can reload one of those things in like 3 seconds. But it's hand-loaded, so it's up to the loader themselves. Whereas an auto-loading tank, you can take the commanders and all of that out of the turret and leave everything automated. Anyway, enough. Back to the tanks at hand. There's so much information on these tanks that I didn't write any of it down, because the T-57, the T-69, and all of its variants pretty much follow the same thought process of putting an oscillated turret on a pre-existing chassis, just like they did with the T-57. I will discuss more of the T-57 through the T-69 video because of the similarities in these projects. So your T-57, it started its journey in the 1950s, same as the T-69. At this stage, they wanted to use a 120mm gun tank chassis of the T-43, which was the prototype name for the M103, which would effectively replace the T-30 series. And effectively, before the T-43, otherwise known as the M103, entered serial production, they were already trying to figure out ways to upgrade and eventually replace this turret, make different variants of it. And that's what birthed all these crazy tank designs. So it was found in the Aberdeen testing grounds, or proving grounds as some people call them, the ABT. It was proven auto-loading tanks work with smaller caliber guns. So they thought it wouldn't be a bad idea to test it on a bigger gun, so they used a 120mm gun. And that's what was crazy about it. They wanted to create an 8-round cylinder drum for a 120mm gun. And so they went on, and it was proven that it worked. Only 2 of these turrets were built. They were only prototypes. They were 2 different two different turrets, built two different ways, and basically what the T-57 was supposed to be was they put the M103 hull on it with that turret, and then it kept the same armor thickness, it kept the same armor angles, it kept that nose, the narrow nose of the M103's hull and the turret, and it kind of just continued on from that. This tank would actually end up spawning different variants, like I keep talking about. It led to the creation of the T-77, which was placing the exact same turret as the T-57 heavy mounts on an M48 Patton hull, which I would absolutely love to see if it was in Blitz. I know the T-50E1 is a completely different tank than what you think I'm talking about, because I thought at first that it would have been this, but it's not. It's not the T-77. The T-50 Fowler has its own set of tanks. And to list some of those variants for you, I would really love to see the T-58, which was an even bigger gun mounted on the M103 chassis. The T-58 mounts a 155 millimeter gun, and the turret's even bigger. It's even bulkier. They had to do different trunnion designs, different hull rings, and considerably. The T-57 has quite a big turret ring. Imagine what the 120 millimeter or 155 millimeter would look like on that. Then you have your T-57 heavy tank, you have your T-69, which is the 90 millimeter, you have your T-77, which is exactly what I was just talking about. It's the M48 Patton, but with the T-57 turret. You have your T-54E1, which is the tier 9, you have the T-54E2, which is the tier 8, and then you have the original T-54, which was the kind of the prototype for the T-50E1. The difference between the T-50E1 and E2 is the E2 features a human loader instead of an autoloader. So it cuts out the mechanisms that create the autoloader. And I might make a separate video discussing the way this kind of stuff works. If you guys are interested in learning about how auto-loading systems work, how auto-reloading systems work, and how just different properties of mechanisms in tanks, the way they operate. If you guys want to see that, I would absolutely love to create a shoot-off kind of series that really discusses how things work in a realistic standpoint. I know you guys really like these history videos, and I'll keep making them as long as you guys keep wanting them. I think that's important to read and understand and have fun. Obviously, I'm sorry that I didn't have a lot of information for these videos. I am a little time pressed this morning, but I really appreciate you guys taking the time to watch these videos. And I wanted to thank Tiger and Greenleaf for submitting these replays to me. I was kind of pestering Tiger to get a T69 video because I didn't have the time and I didn't have the patience to play it today and yesterday while I was doing my research here. And, if you guys are interested in submitting your clips, I am more than happy to showcase them, give you guys a shout out, and see how everyone else plays. It's really fun to watch you guys play. It's really fun to see how different you guys play from me, because I don't play as fantastic as a lot of people. I'm an average player, and getting to see some of these guys do fantastic games, it's awesome. I really appreciate it. So, don't be afraid to send a replay to my email or my Discord account, and just name, hey, I want to see this tank. Here's a replay of it if you're interested in doing the research for it, or however you want to present it to me. I'll more than gladly watch your replay, and if I can find relevant information past, it was just a blueprint tank, I already do have my next set of videos done for my clip that I might actually record this morning, might do it tomorrow, the STG and the K91 heavy tank. Really interesting tanks, in my opinion. That E100, I feel so bad for him. That was kind of sucky how that happened to him. It happens. But, you know, like I said, thank you guys for watching. I really appreciate it. Sorry about my rant yesterday. I just wanted to upload that, get that out of the way, because I just had some choice words. But, you know, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I'll see you in the next one. I do have a Patreon up, but I'm not too concerned if you guys don't want to sub to it. Hey, it's whatever. Like I said, I do this for fun, and it would be nice to get some support sometime. But right now, I'm not concerned about that. So stay cool, stay frosty, and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you.